In this video I'm talking about one of the samples I made for assignment 1 right at the beginning, when we were encouraged to think about textiles made from traditional materials, and I wanted to get very much at the idea of cloth, unadorned, very basic cloth, and its relationship to us, to humans, to the body, to our lives. And so I went back to raw undyed calico, which seemed as basic as I could get, and these samples here, I made a series of 12. They're made of strips, torn strips of calico of similar sizes, dipped into wet mud, wrapped around into loose self-forming shapes, and then left to dry in the sun when we had a lot of sun in the first lockdown. And what appeals to me about them, one reason I've included them in this selection, is their texture, the tactile qualities. They became quite hard, quite scratchy, and yet quite light, kind of strangely strong. And yet obviously once they get wet they disintegrate. And what appealed to me about these forms was it's a way of leaving our trace on the fabric. The mud stains, the hand of the maker is in the form that's there. I was also very interested in this idea of repetition and difference, so I had a whole row of them which I sort of videoed, that's on my blog, whereby each one's individual and yet they're all the same. And I like this idea. I was very much drawn to this idea of universality, in that our experiences are both repeated and individual, and that sort of was echoed somehow in these vessels for me. The fact that they have their own little character. Some of them are kind of short and squat, some of them are more tall and sort of wobbly, and they almost take on the characteristics of figures, of forms. I also like the sort of semi-vessel form, and I've been throughout the contemporary practice really looking at open mouths almost, looking at interiors, and also these torn edges, loose unravelling edges, dangling. Some of them have got like bits of string dangling off them and loose ends, and those always really interest me in a sense of something that's unfinished or a process that is ongoing. So this, although it was done really early on, has been a really important sample for me right the way through.